The Cubs and Kyle Tucker did not come to an agreement and will go to arbitration. What? It's a joke. It's okay. It's just a joke. It's not. It's good. I need to call my therapist. You have to be kidding me, Cubs. How is this going to impact the Kyle Tucker relationship? How does this impact an extension? Let's talk about it right now here on the Set of Man. Okay, is this as big of a deal as we think it is? As fans, we only know so much. So I actually wanted to know from the fans, what was your reaction? I asked a few of you to go ahead and send in some videos. Here's what I got. I was pretty alarmed.
I thought you were kidding! I thought it was a joke! I'm in a glass case of emotion!
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Okay, all jokes aside, let's talk about some real reactions that came from people. Here on Twitter, John says, Cubs continue to embarrass themselves. We have Crisco66 with stupid small market tactics like this. It's going to be another 100 years until they win another World Series. Cub Zone, welcome to the Cubs. That's a great way of putting it. Garrett Serban, well done. Stonewalling the new superstar you hope to woo over. 2.5 million extra, 17.5 million total that he is obviously worth. I hate Tom Ricketts. Please go bankrupt and force to sell. Mike, yeah, he's gone after this season for sure. Yeah, it's my reaction too. I mean, especially after you see Justin Steele settles, Nate Pearson settles, Eli Morgan settles. You know, none of those guys are Kyle Tucker. Justin Steele is the Kyle Tucker of the rotation, you could say. But then it's like, okay, you're very brand new guy that you just traded for. You sent off a top prospect that's probably going to be a star in a few years, and you are trying to lead us to believe that you're trying to build for the future, but then you send him to arbitration right away, and now the relationship is going to get burnt, right? It's going to be, well, as soon as the season's over, I'm going to free agency. Forget the Cubs. If this is how they treat me as soon as I come to the team, what's it going to be like in free agent and extension talks? It kind of reminded me of when Corbin Burns went to arbitration with the Brewers over, I think it was like $200,000. Now, it's not $2.5 million, it's $200,000, but still, it was very obvious that the organization just basically was like, yeah, we need to save money wherever we can. Even though you're the best pitcher in baseball, we're not going to pay you that extra $200,000.
Came out is more that we were just kind of disappointed with how it went. The Brewers never really made real attempt to try to come to a deal to avoid a hearing, at least from our perspective.
So in the middle of this uproar, my wife asked me, well, what does this process even look like? And of course, I don't know what it looks like. I've never been in it. So I just mansplained my way to something like this.
Okay, let me talk to my owner. I'll call you back. Thanks.
Get Steve on the phone.
We want $225,000 for Rincon.
Billy says he needs $225,000 for Ricardo Rincon. Okay, let me hold on 1 second, please.
Right? I mean, that's what we kind of have in our heads, right? Jed and Tucker's agent talk. They come to some sort of number that Jed's like, I don't know, that's not where we're at, but let me go ask the big boss, Tom. And then Tom says no. And then Jed's got to be the bearer of bad news. And then it's all hearsay, it's all third party, it's the messenger is shot, all that kind of stuff, right? That's what I imagine it looks like. But here's the reality from a guy who actually has gone through it. This is an excerpt from Foul Territory with AJ Pierzynski and Eric Kratz. And maybe this will give you a little bit of hope.
But you know what was better?
Different.
You know what it was actually better though for me because I didn't know the organization, so I didn't really know the people. If I would have gone to arbitration with Terry Ryan and the Minnesota Twins, like that would have been way harder to sit across from Terry Ryan, the guy who drafted me, and listen to him badmouth me. But the Giants, I'm like, I don't even know y'all. I ain't been to spring training yet. I haven't done anything. Like I talked to you on the phone, met you a couple times. Hey, everything's hunky dory. That to me was what, like for Kyle Tucker, he's like, I don't know the Cubs guys.
So I get what AJ is saying here. If you don't know the organization, it's not awkward, but still, I mean, you think about it of like arguing with a stranger, there's still some level of like, well, I never want to talk to that person again. So that's why I'm still kind of like, all right, I get it. It's worse if you have that conversation with people that you know, that you've come to love, that have nurtured you, but I still am not quite sold on the part of like, it not being awkward moving forward. But then listen to what Eric Kratz has to say.
The only thing that bothers me, Kratz, is when you see the player and the team go to arbitration over like 50 grand.
He's going and he's arguing 50 grand.
that team is going to have another Joe Smith in 4 years, another Joe Smith in 2 years after that, another Joe Smith in 3 years after that. And if they give the 50 grand now, that 50 turns into 100, which turns into 200. That's the way they look at it. And unfortunately, it's not a perfect system, but it works out.
So you can kind of hear Kratz is like, all right, he understands how the organization thinks. He also understands that this is a business, and he's kind of at to the point of, well, it's not perfect, but it works most of the time. So to hear two players be like, hey, it's not that big of a deal, it makes me feel a little bit better. And then I got this text from someone who's close to the Cubs and close to the players, and they said, when you talk to the players, they know it's business and not personal. Fans think it's personal. I absolutely do. When the Cubs traded Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez, fans thought free agents wouldn't come to the Cubs, but Tyone told me that Rizzo actually highly recommended signing with the Cubs, and, you know, Rizzo left, and he actually took a sweetheart deal with the Cubs to stay there for as long as he did. He took a haircut, and he probably could have had a lot of reasons to badmouth the Cubs because they didn't give him a huge extension. Where I'm at on this, and where I hope that you hear on all this, is that the players do see the business side and they do understand the business side. Do they like it? I'm not saying they like it, but they do understand that a lot of these teams are ran like businesses because at the end of the day, they are businesses. We as fans have this emotional tie to the players, to the teams. We just say, it's not our money, let's go spend it. But the organizations have to voice to these players, listen, we have to make tough decisions, and we're not going to make everyone happy. Now, where I do get a little bit confused, and we're not in the room with Kyle Tucker, we're not in the room with Jed, and of course, based on this video, which by the way, I did link the entire video from Foul Territory down in the description, they do talk about this. You're not even like in the room when you're having these conversations. It's over the phone. It's typically with the agent. And so why was like $16.75 million not agreed upon in the middle? Was that a Jed and Tom thing, or was that a Kyle Tucker and his agent thing? We don't know. What I do know is if they do give in and agree to $17.5 million, just like what Kratz said in this video, then there's going to be another guy. There's going to be another, and there's going to be another. And then that starts to add up. And then before we know it, as fans, now we're on the opposite end, and we're saying, well, good Lord, they're spending like crazy, and this is why they can't go get free agents, is because they're giving away money in arbitration. So I am not defending this in any way, but I understand the business side, and it makes me feel better about the process. It makes me feel better about the relationship between the two. I don't think this is a damaged relationship. However, here's what I do get from this when I read between the lines. Kyle Tucker and his agent want the biggest money for Kyle Tucker right now, and they're going to want the biggest money for Kyle Tucker when he goes to free agency. And that probably is not the Chicago Cubs, unfortunately. Unless Kyle Tucker has a 2024 Kyle Tucker year where he's either injured, doesn't play in a certain number of games, or maybe has a Cody Bellinger type of year where OPS is down, performance is down. And that would suck because that probably means that the Cubs either A, don't make the playoffs, or B, are kind of like, well, what's the future of this guy? Where is he the $400 million guy? Can we give him another one-year deal at $30 million, or a type of deal just like they gave Bellinger of a 1 year plus an opt-in or an opt-out from the team or from the players for the next couple of years? It just puts you in the same type of situation as you just were with Bellinger, where if he opts in after this deal, let's just call it he signs this deal in 26 and then he opts in 27, and then you got the same thing going on again of just like, well, we didn't expect him to opt in, so we're going to trade him, and now we're just that average 83 to 85 win team because we're not holding on to good players. That is still the frustration for me, even after seeing the Foul Territory reaction, even after seeing the way that the organizations run this thing and that the players understand it. I still get frustrated that at the end of the day, the Cubs are not willing to be big boys in the big market, and this is just another example of the fact that they're going to penny pinch where they can, and players are going to, the big players, the big contracts, the mega deals, to quote Jesse Rogers, those are going to continue to go by the wayside until Tom wakes up one day and says, hey, listen, the fans deserve this type of contract. They deserve this type of product. And by the way, that's going to mean that I get to charge more on ticket prices. If you put out a product like the Dodgers do, fans will be glad to pay the price. Tell me if I'm wrong. Put it in the comments. If you have the same type of roster like the Dodgers have, with that mammoth of a 1-2-3 punch at the top of the lineup, and then the incredible starting pitching, are you not willing to pay more for your tickets, for your beer, for your hot dog? I am. Absolutely, because I'm excited to go see the game. I'm going to see a fun game. I'm not going to see the boring May and June Cubs from 2024 and be paying, an average ticket price. I'll pay the premium because I know I'm going to see a premium product. That's where I'm at. Let me know in the comments where you are at. Let me know what you thought of this breakdown. Let me know what you thought. Just let me know if you had any sort of mind shift after seeing what Eric Kratz and AJ Pierzynski had to say on this.